A new online short film by author and sustainable food advocate Anna Lappé takes on some of the big myths about the fast food industry. To tell us more about it, Anna is here. Thanks for being here, Anna. Good to have you back.
Yeah.
Let's just take a quick look at a clip from this little film that you made about advertising fast food to kids.
A typical kid sees nearly 5,000 TV ads for food and drinks every year. Almost all of them will be for products high in sugar, salt, and saturated fat. Watching these ads leads kids to prefer specific brands and triggers them to eat more calories, period. To make these ads, the food industry hires experts to exploit how Ida thinks, even how she sees. They figured out what colors she responds to best and what kinds of characters she'll love most. Creepy, right?
This is a science, obviously, that they take very, very seriously.
Absolutely.
It's not
a billion-dollar business.
Yeah. Just for kids or a billion-dollar business for fast food overall?
So just for kids, every single year, it's almost $2 billion in targeted marketing.
Wow. And not just TV ads, obviously. Can you just give us a sense of overall how fast food companies insinuate themselves into the lives of kids, how they befriend them?
Sure, exactly. It's definitely not just television. It's not just a matter of us turning off our TV or not having a TV. They insinuate themselves in all aspects of our kids' life. And as a mom of 2 kids, I am aware of this. It's everywhere from their experience online now to their experience in schools. Even one of the most shocking things I found is that you are starting to see corporations brand curricula. So there's the Oreo cookie counting book and Reese's Pieces counting book. So they're
and schools are cool with that?
Schools, I'm happy to say that we're starting to see a real growing outcry that this is not acceptable. So one example I mentioned in the movie is some parents noticed that McDonald's wanted to brand and put their logo on report cards going home with kids. And a bunch of parents contacted this great organization called the Campaign for Commercial-Free Childhood, and they said, excuse me, this is crazy.
Yeah, what does this have to do with a report card?
Exactly.
McDonald's is pleased to bring you your child's D-. Congratulations, everybody.
Right, so I'm pleased to say that actually those parents won put out that little fire. But the point is that this kind of advertising and the marketing to kids, it's pervasive.
Now, how much of it is obviously it's difficult to unpick exactly where the boundaries lie, but kids love junk food. Kids love going to McDonald's, the way that in the society that we currently live in. And it's easy to say, of course, that's because they market Ronald McDonald so well. But I've also spoken to food scientists who, of course, say that these companies spend billions of dollars figuring out the exact amounts of, and you do address this in your film, the exact quantities of fat and sugar and salt. I mean, a Big Mac is just a perfect concoction of salt, fat, and mushy kind of sweetness to our palates. So even if you got rid of all of the marketing, wouldn't a kid still choose a Big Mac over a carrot?
Well, I actually, I don't necessarily think that's the case. I mean, I think you're right that what the food industry has done so brilliantly is not only figure out the science behind marketing, but figure out the science behind our taste buds. But what I think is that with the marketing, you're layering on this way that the food industry is undermining the authority of parents and public health professionals who should be the ones to be telling kids what is good to eat. And I know from just my own experience that when you expose your kids to really good, healthy food, they also crave that. I mean, my children aren't withering away. They're loving their
That's
kale.
That's because they're secretly going to the neighbour's place and
not yet,
and
not
throwing
yet.
out the kale. I mean, have you seen this story that came out yesterday? We were you just mentioned this in the green room, but we were going to raise it anyway. McDonald's is now going to offer salad, fruit, or vegetables as a substitute for French fries. This has already been the case in some European countries like France, but now they're bringing it out here. And one of the quotes that I found interesting in this HuffPost article is McDonald's says, all advertising to kids will include a fun, nutrition, or children's well-being message, the company said. Which raises the question, when you see these big companies pushing healthier options to kids and advertising, hey, you should be eating healthier, you can come to McDonald's and buy an apple instead of getting fries. One school of thought says, well, that's great, it's a little step in the right direction. Another school of thought says, this is just reinforcing the positive image of this company, which is still going to continue to be 98% crap.
Right, and it's that latter school of thought that I think
to which you belong.
To which I belong, which is that this PR move by McDonald's is really just a brilliant, elaborate public relations campaign to really try to deflect criticism away from what McDonald's core brand is, which is pushing high fat, high salt, high sugar products. And they got all of this attention. They got the cover of the business section in the New York Times about this promise they're making, this pledge they're making to, by the year 2020, make these formulation changes. And at the heart of the matter, their promise to put kiwi on on a stick doesn't change the fact that they're a brand that is pushing unhealthy food and doing it through targeted marketing that, again, undermines our authority as parents.
To be frank, also, kiwi on a stick, I didn't even know what that was. I'm half kiwi myself. I love kiwi fruit, as we call them in Australia, but I don't know, how do you put it on a stick? And
I
what
don't
do you
know.
do?
That's,
Is it,
you know,
do you peel
this
it?
is this is what they pay their, you know, their experts for figuring out.
I mean, I think the elephant in the room here also, though, is socioeconomics and inequality, right? I mean, it is easy for us in our positions to make educated choices and to buy kale and to buy organic and so on. I mean, if you're just struggling to make ends meet, and I know that you can always say, hey, if you actually add it up, going to the farmer's market isn't necessarily any more expensive than buying a Happy Meal for a family of 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when you've just been working 4 jobs and you just get home and you've got all these kids to deal with, where is the farmer's market when you're living in the Bronx? Where are you know, A, there's food deserts, and B, it is expensive and much more difficult. What do you do about that?
Right. No, you're absolutely right. And actually, I did a calculation once where I figured out how much it would cost to make essentially an organic egg McMuffin, and it was actually cheaper than what you would pay McDonald's. But as you point out, you know, how many of us have access?
It takes you 3 weeks. You've got to find the chickens.
Right. So actually, this is really goes back to the heart of our point, which is that that this targeted marketing is actually really reinforcing a real disparity between access to good healthy food among kids, and that actually you find there's been some really great studies out of Yale that have found that African American kids, for instance, are seeing 80% more ads for sugary drinks than their white counterparts. So you're seeing not only that in those communities there's less access, but also in a lot of communities of color and low-income communities, they're actually getting even more bombarded with the messages that are reinforcing these unhealthy eating practices.
So what would you have happen? I mean, wrap us up here with like the idealized Anna Lappé vision of the way things ought to be. Presumably you don't market directly to kids under the age of 12 or something, anything, even good stuff, right?
Right. Well, and here's the thing. I think that what's key for people to understand is that marketing to children is inherently deceptive. That we know that children have this vulnerability where they're actually developmentally unable to understand the persuasive intent of advertising, so that marketing to children should be something that is off the table.
Okay, and what can people do?
What can people do is they can watch the full movie at foodmyths.org, and they can join us. The one take action ask that we're doing today is calling on McDonald's to take down happymeal.com, which is their way of reaching kids online. So we started a petition to take down Happy Meal, ask the company to take it down, and people can go to foodmyths.org to find out more about it.
And if they're driving past their local McDonald's, they should throw a brick through the window.
Wave goodbye.
Throw a brick through the window. No, okay. Thanks, Anna. Always great to talk to you. Stay tuned. Plenty more coming up right here on HuffPost Live.